bruh, bruh, bruh. Hey kids, remember when you used to wake up early for Saturday morning cartoons and your biggest worries in life were whether or not the princess was in this or another castle? Let's go back there, because it's Throwback Thursday. Well, hey there everybody. So, it is time to take another look at a vintage game. It's been a minute. Feels like it's been several minutes. Anyway, I know I've been on a sports game kick lately, what with my two favorite sports starting back up, those being hockey and basketball. Yeah, when I became a teacher, like, I used to follow all the sports, all of them, you know, football, hold it with your hands football, you know, the American variety, baseball, all the things, hockey, basketball, everything. And yeah, when I became a teacher, I just didn't have time for it. And so I could only choose two sports. I chose the two best, which are hockey and basketball. And so, yeah, I was aching to play a game that represents my second favorite of all of my favorite sports. And very much like Blades of Steel is the best hockey game on the NES, I would argue that Double Dribble is the best hockey game or best basketball game on the NES. It is the more realistic of the two major contenders. I know there are multiple basketball games on the NES, but there are only really two good ones. And of course, I'm talking about arch rivals and Double Dribble. And this one, Double Dribble, is the better of the two. Now, let me just get this out of the way. Corner 3. Yeah, did it, said it. Now it's said and done. Nobody needs to say it. Yes, there is a corner 3 glitch. I didn't know about it until entirely too recently. But yeah, it's a thing. It's now a part of the popular lexicon and is unfortunately the only thing anybody knows about this game if they weren't raised on it. But this game goes so much farther than a corner 3 for me. It just does. Because here's what keeps me coming back after all the years. My very favorite basketball memories of a video game variety are with this game. The only other thing that comes close is basketball for the Atari 800, the Atari 8-bit line, which also was the first basketball game to feature black players. This game also features black players, but if you pass them the ball, they turn white. Explain that. I don't know. Science. Yeah, it's weird. No, they don't turn white. They flash so that you could tell who has the ball, but they look white when they're flashing. Anyway. But yeah, what brought me into this game was the dunk animation. Even though the players in this game brick it about as often as Glenn Big Baby, a.k.a. Glenn Ground Davis. Yeah, they called him, you know, his actual nickname was Big Baby, but first of all, that's a terrible nickname. What are you, a rapper from Right Now? Yeah, all the good rap names are taken, so Lil Uzis have to get on the vert ramp. I'm Lil, and I take my Uzi on the vert ramp. That's such a stupid name. I'm sorry. Like, is it as good as Ladies Love Cool James? No, it is not. Is it as Cool Mo D? Come on, get out. Like, all the good rap names are taken. And so now people are just coming up with Da Baby, you know, like just the worst rapper names. Anyway, yeah. But if you remember Glenn Big Baby Davis, he played for the Celtics for a while. Big old dude. Could not dunk. He missed roughly half the time he went up for a dunk, and that's how it goes in this game. Like, players just be bricking wide open dunks, which is not great, but the fact that there was a dunk animation blew my freaking mind. I mean, I was like 10 years old. I was obsessed with Michael Jordan and all the other... Man, we had some high flyers in the 90s. Talk about your Sean Kemps, your Clyde the Glide Drexlers, your Dominique Wilkinses, to name a few. Those guys were dunking it hard. And yeah, there were a ton of great dunkers in those days. And yeah, so I was obsessed with dudes who could throw it down. And so I remember vividly the time I went over to my buddy Jerry's house and he chucked this cartridge into the game slot and turned it on and treated me to the very first dunk that I had ever seen in a video game. It was mind-altering. It was incredible. I could not get enough. When we played this game, I would routinely lose, but I would dunk as often as I could. Like, it, yeah. He knew every time I'm driving the ball down, I'm not looking to pass. I'm just looking to get under the bucket, hit the shooting button, and try for that dunk. And every now and again, you would accidentally lay it up, and it usually goes in. There's a higher rate of making it when it's a layup, but I was always disappointed. Even if I made it, I'm like, oh, I wanted to dunk. Yeah, because as a sub 6 foot tall white dude, and I mean sub by barely, like when I ended my growth spurt at like 5'11 3/4. It was sad. All I wanted was to be 6 foot tall, and all I wanted was to dunk. Did the whole trampoline under the basketball hoop thing that all the white kids were doing back in the day. Did not like conk my head on the rim like all the white kids were doing back in the day. No, I was actually good at trampoline basketball, even though my mom hated it and was horribly afraid that we were going to injure ourselves. Whatever, we crushed it. And we had so much fun doing it. And so, yeah, that's why the dunk animation, that's what put this game over the top. But this game is more than just the dunk animation. It's actually a really solid, fairly realistic NBA game. You know, you have actual NBA towns, although the mascots are not the same. Chicago is some sort of moose, and Boston's got a weird frog. Los Angeles has a sex toy. What? I didn't make it. That's legitimately what it is. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird mascots and stuff. There's a lot of unskippable cut scenes because they really, really tried hard with the cut scenes in this game like no other sports game before. And I mean, this is Konami. This is Konami at the height of their powers. What else do you expect from one of the greatest game developers for the NES? Do you expect them to make a mediocre game? No, they go hard. They go hard all the time. And on this one, they did. They went hard. And so, yeah, you do have an unskippable halftime show where you'll get one of 3 sexy cheerleaders like winking at you and whatnot, and a marching band and balloons going up and a blimp and stuff. It gets crazy. It just really goes nuts. But this game, beyond the dunk animation, it's really fun to play against another person. It is not as much fun to play against the CPU because the CPU does not miss in the second half. I mean, to the point where it feels unfair. I have a hard time beating the CPU in this game. I always have. Maybe you're better at it. Maybe you can hit that corner 3 every time. You can tell I was trying to do the corner 3 glitch just to see if it's as easy as people say. It is not. There is some skill involved in knowing how to hit it because you got to have an exactly perpendicular release point as you're flying out of bounds. Like you have to jump out of bounds, and then when you're directly in line with the basket, that's when you release. And then you should hit it. And it's hard to do. It's hard to get a feel for it. You know, you're going to have to play it a while. And obviously, I did not try the corner 3 enough for me to be, lights out with it. So, yeah, I ended up losing to the CPU. This is not the only time I captured this game footage, by the way. I tried multiple times and lost against the CPU every time. But when you play against a buddy, when you play against a human opponent, it is way more fun because they are just as likely to brick wide open shots as you are. And the reason that matters is because defense in basketball games for the longest time was just dog water. It was not great. And so, yeah, like defense in baseball video games for the longest time was just garbage. Similar vibe. It was a hard thing to figure out, how to play defense. You can get decently good at defense of this, mainly stripping the ball. Steals, you'll get like a bajillion steals once you realize how to get good at it. It's just a matter of timing, of hitting the pass button, or is it the shoot button? I don't remember. It's whichever button it is. I just play by vibe now. I just have played this game for so many years that I don't even remember. But yeah, you hit the steal button, and then you might end up with the ball. And yeah, if you're playing against a buddy, you are just as likely to not realize that you have stolen the ball and accidentally chuck up a full court shot when you didn't realize you had the ball, or to chuck up a full court shot when you're trying to pass and you get the buttons confused. Yeah, that happens a couple times a game usually, and it's always embarrassing. It's like when you hit the cop car button in Streets of Rage 2. Yeah. When you're just fighting and you don't need the cop car, and then you hit it when like it's a blank screen and there are no enemies around, and you're like, dang it. I only get 2 of those and I just blew it. Yeah, it's like that. There's a little bit of that in this game, and so playing it against the CPU, who does not miss in the 3rd or 4th quarter, I'm telling you, especially not in the 4th quarter, they go hard. They go all out in the 4th quarter, so don't look for any easy buckets, because they are going to be stealing it from you every chance they get, and they're just going to be putting up easy buckets every single time. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, it just ratchets up the difficulty in the second half. But if you play it against a buddy, you're going to have a really good time. And my ultimate test of this game is that I used to have my homeroom play it. I had 2 different homerooms, sets of kids that I was with for all 4 years of high school, and they got to play this game because instead of doing this stupid curriculum that didn't help them at all, which they hated, and their only upside for doing it was me getting off their back, and the downside for not doing it was I was supposed to write them up, send them to the principal's office, which is garbage. And so they knew it, I knew it. Like, this is what they cut their lunchtime in half for, you know, so it's a weird punishment to the kids. And so I used to play music for them, and then I would let them play video games. And they love this game. I tried letting them play other video games of the era, other sports games of the era, because they're good for, you know, multiplayer. And yeah, this was the one. I mean, they tried Tecmo Bowl, Blades of Steel, Bad News Baseball, you name it. Doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the game. This was the game that resonated with them, and they got intense about it. We had, you know, class-wide tournaments, and people took it entirely too seriously. And that's the test of it. I mean, these are kids who, you know, were born, like 30 years after the NES was launched, and they're still like, oh my god, this is so fun. You know, that's a real test. So I give Double Dribble an 8 out of a possible 10 Seattle Sonics logos, because the Sonics got a raw deal. Everybody knows it. And you look at Oklahoma City playing well, and you're like, man, that should be Seattle. It should be. And I mean, it's not like I hate Oklahoma City. It's just that, like, it sucks when someone steals a team. I'm looking at you, Utah. Yeah, that's right. Sucks when someone steals a team. Anyway, 8 out of 10. Play with a friend, and I give you full permission to throat punch them if they attempt the corner 3 glitch, especially if they attempt the corner 3 glitch while trying to do a Peter Griffin corner 3 impression. Like, nah, just throat punch them. Just, you have my permission. You tell them I said so, and they'll be like, you know what, you're right. Anyway, people, thanks for being here for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.